So, full disclosure, guys, this video you're about to watch was actually filmed several days ago for full30.com, and I had completely forgot that I filmed it because I had to split it into two parts, and it's in a completely different folder on the computer. So this is a video that I was going to shoot today, started to video, and then I started having problems with my phone, and it wouldn't let me film more than like 5 minutes. So I started to film it, then realized, hey, I already filmed this once. So, yeah, so it might look a little weird because I'm editing and adding in the YouTube intro and everything. But yeah, here we go, guys. Here is a look at my full knife collection. If you're watching on headphones, turn down the volume because here comes some music. Get into this. This is my knife case. Obviously, you can see I'm a knife guy. I've got different knife companies and stickers and stuff on it. We all like stickers, don't we? So we're just going to break this down a little bit. So up here, these are all by one maker, and these are a couple of brothers. These are all handmade knives that they made. So this is probably the high-end row up here. There are some other knives in here that are comparable in price. But these knives ranged anywhere between $550 and $1,000. And so we're going to look at a few of them. So these are just some knives I have. This was actually a gift from the maker. Elliot Williamson gave this to me, mainly because he kept trying to throw it away and I told him no. I didn't want to let him throw away the first kind of mid-tech style knife he made. And this one is serialized. This is number 11 of the Pretiums. I did all the refinish work on this. I did the black ceramic and the anodizing, just a little pop of color. This is a great, great knife. Elliot was not happy with how it represented his company, so he gave it to me as a gift because he just wanted it out of the shop. And so this has got a lot of sentimental value. I'm really good friends with Chris and Elliot. This is a Ferrum Forge Mike Gavick, also known as Gavco. This is a collaboration. There's a couple of these collabs in here between Gavco and Ferrum Forge. There's two of them actually. So this was it's called the Mako, all titanium. Most of these knives in here, if you were to take a look at them, are all going to be titanium and titanium frame locks. There's a couple exceptions, but so these knives here were just things that I picked up along the way. I did a trade with my friend Jesse for I did a lot of sharpening work and some anodizing for him. You can see I liked that kind of purplish blue ano on that. This knife was actually a gift from a really good friend of mine, Nico, the Hobbit. He's in a lot of my YouTube videos. He's actually my channel manager for YouTube. But this one was special because I really wanted a Ferrum Forge Fortis. This one has a specific blade finish that I'm not sure how it's going to come out. But this was tumbled for like a week in a synthetic sapphire abrasive matrix. And it gave it a really, really unique finish. It's almost matte, but still polished, if you see what I'm saying. It's like kind of a matte polish. I don't know how to explain it. It kind of, your brain just can't kind of pick up on what's going on. This is a knife that I got from Nico because I wanted one of these, and I'll show you why in a second. So I tried to duplicate the finish on this. This is kind of close. This is more matte than the other one, a little less polished. But this was the Mordax. So Fortis, and I did the ceramic, this two-tone ceramic black coating that's in that. This was the Mordax, and let's zoom back out. The reason I wanted the Mordax was because, well, I already owned its little baby brother, which is the NTAC. So these knives, handmade, well, hand assembled. These were mid-tech. So all these knives were finished, assembled, built by hand. And then I've done some little anodizing touches and things like that. So big and little brothers right there. I was in the shop the day that this knife was being built, and I told Elliot not to put it on a website. I was going to purchase directly from him because at that point it was probably the coolest finish I'd ever seen on a knife. It still is probably the coolest finish I've seen on a knife. All hand textured. Then this was masked off. Black ceramic was applied, and then this was anodized. Same with the pocket clip, all hand textured, you can see it's been carried enough. I've worn the anodizing off. I need to go back up and re-anodize that. So the next two knives are special knives that were made by Chris and Elliot. These were called Maker's Choice. We'll pull them both out here. You can see that one's a little special. So Fair and Forge had a thing when they were making knives in-house where they would take a portion of their knives and they would do what was called a Maker's Choice. And if you got in on a Maker's Choice, you basically paid them a little extra, and Elliot went crazy on them. This is all hand carved. It's all hand carved. Every one of those scales was done with a 1/32 ball end mill in a Dremel. And I don't mean like one of the long Dremels with the cable. This was all done by hand with a Dremel and all textured and then assembled and then anodized by his brother Christopher. This one was called the Marlin, as you can obviously see why it would be called the Marlin. And this is like my favorite blade shape they've ever done. This is another one of those Gavco Fair and Forge collaborations. And if you watch through the years, you can see how their logo has evolved and changed. Let's go back to one of the original ones. So you can see that their Fair and Forge logo has kind of evolved over time. I think that was my favorite. So everybody was like, what's the KW? I was like, that's FFKW, Fair and Forge Knife Works. So this one I got from a guy that was selling it. He'd won it in the lottery. I got it for a song. These knives typically were $1,000, if not more. I think these were actually $1,200 because they were a collaboration. The collaboration knives were a little bit more expensive than their standard other knives. Here is another collaboration. This is collaboration between Les George and Fair and Forge Knife Works. This was the Master Blaster. I did not buy this. This was a gift from my friend Matthew, from Tino, and my buddy Nico again. They got together, I forget what it was, some big deal. Elliot had one blade left for this knife. They only ever made 200, by the way. Each one of those knives was basically one of 200. And if you got a Maker's Choice, it was one of 10, because they only were doing 10. So Elliot did a actual inlay, and so what he did, this was all copper. He pounded the copper down in, and then carved all of this by hand, knowing that I like the Geiger-esque kind of, what do you call it, biomechanical. So this was all hand carved by Elliot once again. And this was a gift. And this is something that would never go away. This is an amazing knife. I love this knife. This knife gets used. So you can see I've worn the ceramic on it. Nice thing is I know how to refinish knives. I'm a knife maker. So I can always refinish this blade. This is probably one of my favorite knives I've ever owned, if not top of the line, probably the top tier. Is it the best knife I've ever owned? No, but it has a lot of emotional, kind of values. These ones I have a special place in my heart for because I'm friends with the guys that made them, and I have a couple of amazing showings of just what they can do when they feel like it. The two brothers, when they get together, they can just do amazing stuff. Elliot does all the carve work, and then Christopher usually does all of the anodizing work and does all these crazy colors and the masking and like you see here, this one. That's hard. That is hard to obscure all of that clearly and as well as they did. Okay, so there's all my Fair and Forge Knife Work knives. Now this is a little piece that comes in handy. I have a few of them in here. This is in here because some of these knives are shorter than others. Actually, this needs to go down in that hole. This was a tool designed by my buddy Pip Corona. He also is the guy that owns Otter Arms. If you remember that video where we looked at the Otter Arms gun stands, that was some of his work right there. So these are spacers to take up some space. So let's go ahead and we'll get into this row. So this is a knife that I picked up. It was the first overseas production knife I ever purchased. It was by a company called Riat. Great company. I know the guy that owns it. All of this work was done by me. All this anodizing is all after, and it needs to be touched up because you can see I'm wearing off the blue and you're getting into bronze. But this was the first knife that showed me that production knives, just straight up production knives, this is the same as every other one of these knives that ever left the line at Riat of the Horizon Ds. This was one of the first knives, this one and another one, that showed me I had a bunch of custom knives that I'd spent so much money on, and this was better. And it showed me that there's a range of knives out there that you can get into that are every bit as good, if not better, than the customs at a lower price point. So that's a Riat. This is a knife that was done by a friend of mine named Ramon Chavez as a production knife through React. This is a production version, a smaller version of his knife that he calls the Redemption. So this is the Ultramar Street version of that. And look at that pocket clip. This thing is just amazing. It's really thick and it's bulky, and it's not something I would probably carry a lot. I do carry it, but it's just the aesthetic of it. Sometimes there's things that I keep just aesthetically. I two-toned the pocket clip. Most of these knives that have got some crazy finish, I have done myself. So there's that one. It's 10 minutes already. We haven't even really looked at much. So this is, we start getting into Microtechs. And these are set up. So if you look, React, Microtech, and then we get into these guys' designs over here. So this is the Microtech DOC. As you can see, this gets a lot of carry. I love this knife. I keep it with a really high mirror polished edge on it because I take it to shows to show off what I can do for my sharpening. If people want like a really high polished edge for like showcase purposes. But this was the second knife. Remember we were talking about this one. This was the other knife. Actually, this one was first. This was the first knife. That was the second one. This was the first knife that showed me that you could get a production quality knife that was not like gas station knives. It wasn't crappy. It was not the high points of knives. Production knives for a long time, I would equate to them to being like firearms high points. This showed me that there's a lot of stuff out there that wasn't that great. It was better than what I was thinking. Here is another Microtech. This is a Microtech out the front switchblade. This is actually my daughter's knife. The only reason it's still in my collection is because she did not want me to get rid of it. These are serialized. They have a birth date. So is this one. That's the cool thing about Microtech knives, guys. Stick around. This might be a long video. Microtech knives, for the majority of the time that they've been making them, had serial numbers and a birth date. So there you have the DOC, which death on contact, manual action, Microtech, serial number, and then the date that it was manufactured. Now, like I said, I did the refinish on this. This red and black that you're seeing, I did all that, and I couldn't redo it, but it's been carried and dropped and beat up. So let's get, like I said, let's get back into this one. So this is a Microtech Ultratech Tonto blade. My daughter loved this so much. I had 3 of these, and I got rid of all of them but one because my daughter liked this one. I picked this one up. This was a Blade Show exclusive 25th anniversary for Microtech Knives. This is another switchblade. This is their UTX 85. So it is 85% the size of this, which I think this is just about the perfect size. Action on this is great. So this was their Spartan style blade, UTX 85, and it was a Blade Show West exclusive. And I picked it up, and it's gotten some carry. It's got some dinks and stuff on it. Came with a 1-ounce silver coin with it as well. So these are cool. Now, the guy that owns this company has a son named Tony Marfione Jr., TJ. And he owns Heretic Knives. Now, this was a gift from a YouTube subscriber named Alex. I'm trying to get this in focus, so it's not trying to focus on all those knives. And this is a push button out the side auto. I think we're going to have to just move that case entirely and stay on that. So this was a knife that was sent to me. This is the Medusa with the H clip. This is a really nice knife. I just can't carry it a lot, and to tell you the truth, it is a bit bulky. It takes up a lot of space in pocket. So let's go ahead and go back here. All right, so there's those. These are designed by the guys that took up all the real estate in the first row. This is a Fair & Forge design crux that was a mass drop exclusive. So mass drop. What I'm gonna have to do is I'm just gonna have to move this case, guys, and then bring you down a little bit, and we'll just look at them that way, because it's wanting to focus on everything but what I want to show you. So like I said, this was the crux, and if you look, it was a Fair & Forge design. Same with this. This is the buck. Now, I did a video on YouTube not long ago, a live feed, trying to figure out what was the smoothest knife in my case. This wound up being the winner. The only reason it was the winner is because this does not live in a case. It has its own case. And right now, it pretty much just lives in my pocket. So those are another mass drop exclusive. These were knives that Elliot designed strictly for production. And this is a really great knife. It's a weird looking design, but really, really useful. And the weight on it is just about perfect. Just a little bit of weight forward it just feels really good in the hand. So let's put those two back. Let's go down to the next row. And we're gonna go backwards this time because there's two more of Elliot's designs. So these are two more Fair & Forge Knife Works designs. Now I refinished both of these. So I did a black and red two-tone on this one. This was the Fair & Forge Stinger by Elliot. You can see there's their Fair & Forge designs. They've changed their logo a couple times. And then this was the Gent, which was a mass drop exclusive. And pardon the patina on these. These get used a lot and stuff like that. So this was another mass drop exclusive. This was the Gent and the Stinger. So this was Fair & Forge designed for another company. This is Fair & Forge designed for him in-house. I love this knife. This is probably one of the best knives that came out last year. He has a model of this that he made by hand. So let's put these back and then we'll get into this. This is the mass drop Bob Terzuola. And if any of you guys know that name, Bob Terzuola, he is the godfather of tactical knives. I blacked this blade because I just thought tactical knives should have a black blade, but you can see there's still a logo there. And if you look over here, this was another mass drop, S35VN, has a serial number and everything on it. But Elliot helped Bob do the render for this. So Bob is an old guy. He does everything by hand. He does all of his knives custom by hand. And he wanted a production knife. So Elliot said, I can help you do the render. So they took one of Bob's other knives, the ATF, ATF, something like that, and turned it into CTF, which is the compact tactical folder. This is a great, great little knife. So this is one, I know Bob personally. I'm friends with Bob. As a matter of fact, I have one of Bob's full customs that I'll pull out at the end of the video, but we're already at 15 minutes, so we got to hurry this up. So I bought this. This was a personal purchase. Love that pocket clip. It looks nice and it's really functional. It's kind of like the middle between a sculpted clip and a wire clip, which is a video I'll have to explain some other time. Thumb studs, all that. So I get into these knives. I love them so much, and it just takes a while. This is a unique looking beast. This is an Olamic Wayfarer. And they called this, I can't remember, a sheep's cliff blade. I know it looks goofy, it looks weird, but I redid the finish on this. I did all this anodizing. All this anodizing was done by me, the green, and then I tumbled the blade and gave it a really aggressive tumble and then sharpened it. And this actually is frighteningly sharp. This is a great, great comfortable knife. One of those ones that's like, it looks weird, but my goodness, is it comfortable in hand. And it's a workhorse. It will cut, cut, cut. So that is the Olamic Wayfarer 247. This one, the only Benchmade I own. We can get into that some other time, but this is a Benchmade Osborne 940. Now this, I call this my Franken knife. Had aluminum scales, had a different blade, had different thumb studs. So what I did was, I didn't like the color. This was green with purple. And so I got rid of the green, I re-ceramic coated it. And then when the time came, I was given an opportunity to pick up a blade that was in a different blade steel. This is S90V, the original is S30V. This whole knife was a gift. And I didn't even pay for this blade. It was a gift from a friend. Aftermarket thumb studs that are a different size. This is a great little knife, but I'm not a fan of Benchmade. I think that they have some quality issues that they need to resolve. They charge too much. It's the only Benchmade I own because it's the only one that really spoke to me. I really, really always wanted one of these, but I just couldn't pony up the dough for a knife I knew were going to have problems and was not in a steel I wanted. So I got this steel blade in, and I'm really happy with this. It gets a lot of pocket time as well. This is in a weird area because this is the We Knife Company Minax. Now, the reason it's a weird area is because it is also a Fair & Forge design, but it was designed by Elliot for another company, and this thing is a beast of a workhorse. This was my #1 production knife for 2020. My new release, #1. Really thin blade. This thing cuts like a champ. I carried this on the job site doing construction. As if you were to look at this blade, you can see it has been used and abused a lot. And it just holds an edge really well. Cuts great. If you guys are looking for a really good multiple use knife, you can get one that looks almost identical to this. They actually sell this particular finished with bronze. I don't know how well the bronze is coming through, but all those light areas there are all bronzed. This is actually a prototype. Elliot, let me see if I can get in on it, and I'll show you. Elliot actually gave me this prototype to use for video, and when I brought it back to him, he goes, well, if you like it, just keep it. And it's in CPM 20 CV, which is a really good steel. All right, so we're at 20 minutes, and we still have a whole other row. We're into the We Knife Company stuff. This is the first We Knife Company knife I bought. Let's zoom back out. This one is a discontinued model and is really, really unique. If you look at that blade profile, it does not taper. The same thing you can see, it gets used a lot. The blade taper comes down. This is the same angle all the way up. And unlike a lot of knives that just, for example, we'll pull this out because it has a very distinct, what's called a distal taper, is where the blade thins to a point. Sorry about that, guys. Let me backtrack a little bit. So this knife does not have the distal taper. So like I said, distal taper is where the knife, through its grind, comes up and terminates at a point, and then you sharpen it. That's, knife makers like to have a good clean distal taper, which is just that material coming off to make the point. These guys did not do that. They left that blade perfectly straight. You can see how thick that is right behind that tip. But instead, what they did to thin it and bring it down was to just grind that angle at the same angle, and then here where your distal taper would start, they just ground that off. And what it gives you is an incredibly strong tip. You would have a hard time breaking the tip off that knife. Now the very tip, yeah, I've chipped it and things like that, but to break off that whole chunk at the very tip, not happening. So this knife was the first We Knife Company knife I got, and it is super, super, watch this. It has such good action. It almost has recoil. Watch my hand. Heavy blade, nice and comfortable, really good work knife, good tactical knife, to tell you the truth. Not a fan of folding tactical knives, but then you have the ubiquitous folding knife. Let me move this out of the way so it doesn't try and focus. This knife has embodied the folding knife for a lot of people for a lot of years. I'm friends with the guy that owns the, well, him and his mom owns the company, but Tim Reeve and Ann Reeves, I'm friends with them. They're great, great people. They make an incredibly good knife. This is probably one of the best knives all around for a work knife ever. Super smooth action, easy to operate, easy to resharpen. That's another thing I'm big on. Hollow ground. A hollow grind allows you to continue to sharpen this and the blade doesn't thicken up. That's something we'll talk about in future videos, where the difference between grinds. Full titanium. I did the anodizing on this. I don't know if you can see the bronze coming through, but it looks like a patinaed penny, or like the Statue of Liberty, where you have some copper showing through. It's just showing up as the white areas, but that's all bronzed to look like patinaed copper. This knife spends a lot of time in my pocket. Really great blade shape, cuts so well, and the steel on it is easy to resharpen in the field if you needed to. It's the best of both worlds. Really well built, and then it's one of those ones that you can really service on your own in the field. So in this bottom row, and I'll bring the case back in and we'll look at this bottom row. This bottom row is gonna be quick because, one, that's not my knife. This is a knife that belongs to another knife maker or another knife designer. This is a what they call dual action. So you can either just operate it by hand and there's no spring, or you use the scale release, push back on it, and then it's an auto. I've had a couple of these come in. I did a couple of videos about these. But this belongs to Elijah Isham, and this is a Diskin Designs. This is a really, really, really nice knife. And Matt Diskin is a great guy, but I mean, look at the detail that goes into some of these things. Look at those pivot screws. You know, that is a really nice knife. And just to be able to have that mechanism where you have an auto, like an automatic like this one, like an out the side, but hide that mechanism down inside. That's actually really cool. Liner lock. This one is a knife that was sent to me. Let's pull this up a little bit. I design knives. This was a knife from the company that I designed knives for that came in for review. I liked it so much. They told me if I wanted to keep it, I could. This is the Artisan Mastiff, and this is a really, really nice knife. But for as large as it is, it carries easy, and the action on it is, I mean, the action on it is really good. It was one of the top contenders for the smoothest knife in my competition, in my collection for a while. So this knife is actually going to be a giveaway on my YouTube channel. This is the CJRB Myalea, designed by Swags. So Swags is a girl that worked at Smoky Mountain Knife Works for a while. She started designing knives. She's just a pretty all right person. Might get to meet her in person if I go to the Blade Show in Atlanta. But this is a nice little, this is a tiny little knife. She designed it to be carried in smaller pockets. She's a petite little girl. Another Artisan / CJRB. So this is a CJRB. These are the same company. This is just their higher end versions. These knives this is like a $40 knife. This is like a $40 knife. This is a knife designed by my friend Dylan Mallory for CJRB and Artisan. This is a great, great little knife. As you can see, I black ceramic coated the blade, which should indicate to everyone that that's a knife I really like because I'm keeping it. The reason for it is it's done in a steel that has a tendency to oxidize and rust really badly. So I ceramic coated it. There's 2 of those knives in here like that. Another CJRB Artisan that I highly recommend to everyone is this CJRB Rhea. Really, really nice little gentleman's pocket carry. It does not come with this clip. This is an aftermarket clip, but this is a $50 knife. Micarta scales on the outside. Really nice blade. It's done in a steel that I really like, which is the proprietary steel that they use that I had my knife done in, which is AR-RPM 9. Now, these are made in China, but it's an American company for any of you guys that are like, oh, China company. It's an American company. It's just made in China. Great, great, great little knife. This thing gets used a lot. It is probably one of the best shaped little gentleman's folders that you could come across. This is a knife done by QSP. This is denim micarta. As you can see, I did black ceramic on the blade. It's denim micarta that will gather hand oils over time and things like that. And it's a really, really nice knife, but well designed, well built. And this is like a $30 knife. And it's in a case with a bunch of, you know, several hundred to $1,000 knives. And this just, it holds up. This is a great little knife. Super good little work knife. Nice pocket clip and done really well. This is another blade that is in that D2 steel, which has a tendency to rust real easily. Then we get down to the end of it here. This is a knife that was designed by Ray Laconico. I love Ray. He's such a great guy. He's really shy. But this is a knife that they call the EWC because it's called an everywhere carry, because if you look, this knife does not have a lock. There is no lock on that knife. This is like your grandfather's traditional folder brought into the 21st century. Flip it open, use it. You know, if you're using it, this is a light use knife. Really, really super light because there's not much metal except for the blade. Done in tan micarta. And then last knife that's in this case is a knife that Artisan sent me. CJRB and Artisan. This is the CJRB Crag, and I have not decided. This might be a giveaway, but I just had to put it in my case because look at it. It looks like a race car. These are really, this is another like $40 or $50 knife that just hits way above its weight class. So there you go, guys. Everything that's in my case, pretty much, that's all the stuff. This has its own case, and this lives in my pocket all the time. I am going to do a video. Again, this morning, you're going to see this in another video. I'm going to do a video with some of these knives that are, as most people would say, insanely expensive. But I have a few knives that are as expensive as a gun. And that's going to be the topic. Knives that cost as much as a handgun. But as you guys know, I love this knife. I love the guys that make it. This is a great, great knife. I actually, like when you see me modify a knife, like I redid the pocket clip. When I start doing that, that's a knife that you could pretty much bank on not going away. Especially like stuff like these two were gifts from Alex. This knife and this knife were gifts. Stuff that comes in it. This was a gift. This won't ever go anywhere. We're gonna, man, let's just give a little glimpse of that. Look at that. I mean, it's all right to be prepared, but you can still have some style when you do it. Be tough. Be prepared, but do it with style. Look at that. Great, great outdoors knife. So, at any rate, guys, hang on just a second. So, like I said, a longer video, but if you asked any one that knows me, what am I most passionate about? If you were to ask any of my friends, say, hey, what is Mike most passionate about? And it's knives. It really is. I spent so many years in the military. I was a weapons guy. I was machine gunnery instructor. And I kind of drifted away from the firearms thing and being so into firearms because it was my job for so long. And it's not that I burned out on it. It's just if I can't do every aspect of it, like if I can't do the armory, if I can't do 5-inch, if I can't do machine guns, if I can't do the things that I did in my career, it almost, I did it for a couple years as a job, as a civilian, but it just, if you can only do one part of it, of something you love, only one piece of it, it just feels as though you're detracting from it. So I found a new passion, and it's not even a new passion. All right, guys, well, I hope you enjoyed the video. That is the box of knives. Now, there was some stuff that I was gonna film that didn't make it into this one. There is some stuff that is really important stuff to me that is not in this video because, like I said, I filmed it a few days ago, but I'm having problems with the camera and I can't film that much. And already it's almost a 30-minute video. So I may split it into 2 for YouTube as well. I'm not sure yet. I'm probably just gonna put it up because I don't have a size restriction for videos that I can post on YouTube. It's 9 o'clock at night. I really don't want to film anything else. I think I'm just gonna put it up the way it is. I'll get it up. You guys should see it here in the next couple weeks. So I love you guys. Take it easy. If you like the videos, give them a thumbs up. If you don't like them, give them a thumbs down. Tell me why. There will be an applause button down below. If you like the video, you can donate a little money to the channel. If you really like all the videos, you can join the memberships down below and just basically help support the channel so I can do things and get things for the channel and stuff like that. So take it easy, guys. Be nice to each other in the comments. Be good to each other. Have a good weekend, and I will see you in the next video.